Can I have your attention, please? It is now time for the moment everyone has been waiting for. Tea time with T and Robyn.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds awesome.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. Everyone, what's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait. Everybody, calm down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Robyn. We have a very special guest today, and we're going to get to it because we have a bunch of questions for our draft guru from buffalofanbase.com. You can go there and find out anything you want to know about the draft from our draft guru, Mr. Dean Kindig.
What's up, Dean?
Good. Well, good to see you both. I know we're all from different parts of the country, so thanks for everybody for either getting up or having lunch or anything you want.
Right.
It's been a lot of fun doing research this year because I did something a little bit different with the number of visits that each player gets. I gave a little bit more credit if Brandon Beane went to a game, or if the position coach went to a game, or if there's a combine visit or whatever. So the 2023 column that you actually see on the screen there for defensive tackles is not the number of games they saw, but basically the quality of interactions that they saw. So there were a few on there that surprised me, like Mr. Devondre Sweat.
About that.
Who's down there with one measly scout visit, and there are people up top like Chris Jenkins of Michigan, where the number of interactions is 13.
Wow.
Michigan would be, any Michigan player would be a 13 until they start bringing in people for 30 visits, because you get 5 points for that, things like that. If Bean went to a game like he did for Ohio State's Michael Hall, he gets an extra 3 points. So any of this can vary. Yesterday, Braden Fisk got a visit, so there's that. So he got 2 more points for having somebody talk to him in a formal visit at the combine.
Gotcha. All right. So, I know this draft, I guess us as fans want Brandon Beane, because it's Brandon Beane season, right? This is the Brandon Beane season. This is where he makes his so-called quote unquote money. What positions has the Bills been scouting the most this year? And what do you see the Bills looking for? What do the Bills look for in a player?
So great question. That actually got me started with interview. Actually watching an interview for each player. I've watched probably 400 to 500 interviews, and tried to grade them as if I were Beane or McDermott. I want to use all of the qualities that they look for in a player, from humble to hungry to people that seem to be comfortable in their own skin, very task-centered, very, very, very much. Well, the humility part is easy to pick. They're all about team. So I could start grading down some players that I've even heard being mocked to the Bills based on some of the things that they were or were not saying. So it comes as no surprise that Chris Jenkins and Beane drafted his father.
That's what I was wondering.
So not for the Bills, but he drafted his father. And I now I'm blanking whether it was the Eagles or whether it was the Panthers. But anyway, somebody will know that out there. I guess that the players that you would take, though, are going to have to play and be a team with the current Buffalo Bills, who all, they treat every practice like it's a game.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
So you're looking for that level of competition and that level of synchronicity with others.
Mm-hmm.
That really. Now the other piece of this that I found very interesting, Beam went to fewer ACC games, or his scouts did, and he went to more Big Ten games, and he kept this SEC as the games that he went to the most. Very few AAC games, and that you kind of see that on the screen there. The red ones are SEC, the green ones are the ACC, and then the Big Ten guys are the blue. So there are very few yellow ones. That's the AAC, and
Right.
very very few Big 12 players, no matter what position. Fewer Big 12 players. I guess that would be another reason, Robyn, that it wouldn't be Devondre Sweat, but you never know. They do go to one game. They do go to one game, and then all of a sudden at the combine or in a 30 visit, they bring them in. And their score goes right up near the top there. So,
Okay.
Well, this is why we're blessed to have you here today, because the combine is starting.
Mm-hmm.
And for many of us who don't watch a lot of college football like you do, this is sort of the beginning of that process. At least it is for me, the NFL combine. And so what you're saying about conferences is kind of interesting. Has there been a philosophical shift at all since these conferences have been all mixed up and reconfigured?
I think so. I still think, for instance, if you were looking to get a wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
you want them to be going up against the best of the best, and I think the
Right.
best of the best is the SEC. So I did see a lot more of that philosophy changing. That it used to be strictly ACC, and starting to see that slip down a little bit, and the Big Ten going up a bit for that very reason. If you're going to either take a cornerback or a wide receiver, you want them to be going against the kind of competition they might see at the NFL level.
Right.
So that is huge. And each position actually has its own things that the Bills look for. For instance, I'm going to show you some screens later that show you, for instance, that sacks plus tackles for loss per game seem to be very important in selecting an Ed Oliver or even down below, a Kingsley Jonathan or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be higher up in that score than other scores. So I can sort of correlate going across there that a player like Michael Hall or like Braden Fisk or like Zerjan Newton, Leonard Taylor, and Mason Smith all had really high
My guy.
sackles plus tackles for loss per game over their career. And that's what you're seeing there.
Yes.
So,
I love Mason Smith.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, 6'6", 15. He has bursts of closing burst, outstanding when it comes to that. He sets the edge well. He has a spin move they said is ready, NFL ready already, and he gets low in his pads. So I read all that, was like, okay, I want this guy.
Yeah.
When you say you get low on your pads, that's very important. Like, I want this guy. Like, so if we get him, if he's there, he might not be there, but yeah, I like him. I like the weight, the 315, 6'6", 315. I like that.
He is actually I think Mason Smith also he's from that LSU mindset, and we have a number of players and
from
coaches hailing from the LSU. Let me see if this works. I'm going to see if I can go down and show you that. So you have Sean McDermott, who has the friendship with Dave Aranda, who has moved from LSU as the defensive coach to Baylor. Are you seeing that on the screen?
Yep.
So So that kind of vaults players when you throw in DJ Mangus and Joe Brady, also from the LSU offense, and Keith
Right.
Jennings, our Blesto scout. He was a tight end way back in the day. That kind of vaults players like Malik Neighbors, no chance of getting him, and Brian Thomas, but also Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo. So you have some good players that you will be considering on the LSU squads. I would trade almost anything for Malik Neighbors. Just saying.
Right.
But Brian Thomas is a great consolation prize.
I like Brian Thomas. I was on that Brian Thomas train before, and not to say that most people, but I like Brian Thomas. I like his measurables. And then everybody was like, Brian Thomas. I'm like, no. I mean, yes, for all of us, but no, that's my guy. But I mean, if they get him, great. If they don't, but okay, speaking of wide receivers, and we're on wide receivers, which they scouted the most? Who have they scouted the most in this upcoming combine and draft? The Bills.
I'm only showing you the wide receivers and the slot receivers at the moment. Okay. But if that's what the question is, then it's Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson is in between, depending on what he runs in the combine, is very, very close to a first round pick. And as far as one of the best interviews, him and Josh Cephas had the best interviews of the whole wide receiver slot class. But if you stack these up, I'll do it for you. If you stack these up for speed, they're not stacking up for speed. That Neighbors, Coleman, McConkey.
Yep.
Those were all scouted quite a bit. Roman Wilson has the 4.29 and the 13 visit score. Johnny Wilson has the 4.42 and the visit score of 4. And Ananias Smith, actually a SEC player, 4.42 with a number 3 visit score, and Isaiah Williams down the line at Illinois with the visit score of 4. So any of those, are compelling to have as far as a X type receiver. We'd have to look at a different list, but let's see if I can show you those.
There he is, Troy Franklin. I was looking for him.
There you go. All right, so now you have the X receivers added in, and you can see Troy Franklin has a visit score of 2. Actually went to 2 games, Texas Tech and Washington, and he actually would be ideal for a 1B type receiver for the Bills. And we actually have people out in the Pac-12 that wander around and don't put their name on the credentialed list. So I don't know really how many visits.
That's sneaky. At this
point. Yeah.
So
that is
right now their position on the Buffalo fan base big board, which you can simulate on fanspeak.com and actually do your own mock draft. We have Keon Coleman at 23, Brian Thomas at 24, and Troy Franklin at 30. And I don't think that if those 6 guys aren't there, I don't see him taking a wide receiver, to be frank. I think Ladd McConkey is too much like Shakir, just slower. Just slower. And Adonai Mitchell, same deal. Again, he has the 1 game scouted, and while he probably has the best lowest drop rate in the class, but he's not as fast as the players above that. So I think they're looking at those top 6, and anything else beyond that you're compromising something. If that makes any sense. So so I still think that on a team like the Bills, like McConkey, Worthy, Wilson would probably, and my guy Xavier Legette would add to the team and do better on the team than they did in their college team. So that's something to think about as well.
Right.
Okay.
You're going to be sacrificing something by taking one of the players below that, but on the Bills, that may not matter. Great example is Javon Baker. I've been hearing a lot about Javon Baker from UCF, Gabe Davis's school.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if he doesn't run a faster 40 time at the combine, he's going to drop around. And I have him almost at the Bills' fourth round pick. So I kind of lower than most people.
Well, speaking of the rounds, I know you had a question here based on like the draft and the FAs. What do you see the Buffalo Bills taking from the round 1 through 3?
Oh, okay. So ideally speaking, the way the draft would flow for us is that Brian Thomas Jr. would drop to us and be our first round pick. He'd have a familiarity with Joe Brady. He'd have a familiarity with DJ Mangus.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then in round 2, go back to that defensive line thing, that Chris Jenkins would fall to us.
I like him.
Or Brandon Fisk would fall to us. One of those two.
Right.
And either one is going to be a 3-tech edge combo plate.
Right.
He right off the bat, you can use him to give Oliver a blow now and then. So that would be strong. Zerjan Newton will be gone. Leonard Taylor will be gone by the second round, and Mason Smith might be there. And it'd be cool to do a LSU.
That would be great.
Duo,
Oh wow!
Taking 2, and then in round 3, I would look for a safety, and the safeties that I like. I'm going to list them by solos per game.
Okay.
Because these are the ones. I'll show you a little something here.
See if we got the same.
There are 5 names on this list that have the solo tackles per game of DeMar Hamlin. Okay.
Okay.
And they're the top 5 there. There are 18 of them that have a better solo tackles per game than Micah Hyde did in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so on down the line. Poyer only had 2, so all of these would beat Poyer's solo tackles per game in college. So that should tell you something about statistics. lies, damn lies, and statistics. Okay, here are the way the players were visited this year by scouts, credentialed scouts. Josh Proctor. You could get Josh Proctor, I think, with the 155 pick. The 159 pick, which would be a round 5, or the round 4 pick, which is 129. That would be awesome because you're getting the qualities that the Bills are looking for. He can play safety, either safety position, and that's great. He doesn't have quite the solo tackles per game that I'm looking for, and wouldn't get. Except maybe from, let's say, James Williams or Cameron Kitchens. Some players. Jalen Simpson has been suggested. He doesn't quite fit the profile in terms of weight, and he doesn't fit the profile in solos per game. And those have been high for every one of the Bills' picks in the defensive backfield.
Have you seen a Malik Moore?
So.
Is Malik Moore up there? I don't see.
I don't know. Because there is a lot more down.
Yeah.
There he is. I have him at 580. He has one of the 5 lowest.
Gotcha. Okay.
Solos per game on the board.
They definitely lie about their height because I seen he was 6'1", 180, and then the other one is just 6 and 195, and he can play both
Yes.
free and strong safety, so he can play both.
Yeah, lots of things are going to change on this
Mhm.
with the combine because the scores. It's crazy. I'm not showing you who is picked by the combine here just to get
Right.
everything on the screen, but there. You can see that solos per game kind of ranges all over the place on this, and that's true with the cornerbacks as well. I think, yeah, with here I show you solo tackles per game here, and I've even put the names of the players in the next column over just to show you.
Mm-hmm.
You can see Hamlin's 4.00 is only beaten by Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is not going to be there when we pick.
Right.
Mhm.
So some of the players that I like here could be gotten in the fourth round, and that is Dwight McLaughlin and Tarheeb Still from Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that is coming on pretty well is Kamal Haddon from Tennessee. So you talk about guys that will iron sharpening iron. It's those guys. All of them that I just mentioned have scores that are equivalent of Hyde, Taron Johnson, Hamlin, and better than Dane Jackson.
Wow.
Okay.
In college.
Right.
Yeah.
On the team that they were on.
Right.
So if you look at this place, you'll see that Mike Sanderstill, Kalen King from Penn State. Remember the connections the Bills have with Penn State,
Mm-hmm.
and even a falling Kool-Aid McKinstry would be in the most visited category.
Definitely, that name's been everywhere.
Yeah, and can play corner, or some of them can play safety as well. Like McKinstry, I'd have no problem putting him anywhere in the defensive backfield. He was number 1 in passes broken up in the SEC, and he's the fastest. And he's the fastest defensive back, 6'1" or above, as you can see there. So,
gotcha. Hey, Robyn, did you have a question?
I was just looking at this list, and safety. It's a question you were wondering about too, between the draft and free agents. The safety position confuses me a little because there's a good likelihood we're going to lose Hyde and Poyer, in my opinion. And so, do you pair? Do you draft a couple, or do you try to get a free agent and a draft pick?
Oh, I think this is where the free agent is going to come from. The loser of the now there are 2 guys that they've been talking about. Kyle Duggar, as one of them. I'm blanking on the other one that they've been mentioning.
Oh my gosh!
But anyway, there are 2 that. So
is it Chin? Is it Chin?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mature moment. And what we're thinking is that there are 3 teams that are probably going to be vying for a safety that should come in and start. And the loser of that is going to go into the draft looking for one, which might be Cameron Kitchens. And as you can see, there seems to be an interest in Kitchens right there, because they went to the Boston College game.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Diaz connection. You have the Greg Rousseau connection. You have AJ Highsmith. It's his alma mater. It's Manny Diaz's. He was the head football coach there until 2021, and Pete Harris, the Northeast Scouts alma mater. So that's a lot of information about a player that has a pretty high solos per game number, and he's playing in the ACC. He was first team all ACs. So that's a good bet.
Mm. Well, it seems like if we could get the same kind of relationship, chemistry, whatever that we have with Poyer Hyde for all these years, that would be ideal. I don't know that we can, manage that in a short 1 year, putting them together. But I do believe Poyer and Hyde, when they came together, it was like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, it was. They went together so well. We had a Reese Cup back there for quite a while. I'd love for us to pair him with somebody that could also flip positions.
Yes.
Play both positions. So Josh Proctor of Ohio State would make a really good either one.
Okay.
And you'd have one of the 3 fastest safeties in the draft.
Well,
so
that wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings.
That would help. I have to say that there are a number of safeties that don't match the maturity level that I would want. And it comes out in interviews. The ones that got A+ there, A+ is not good. I'm just a very nice grader. A+ are not good. And any of the players that, for instance, were pursued for back rent and garbage or had 7 DUI misdemeanors, players like that. Javon Bullard is not going to be a Buffalo Bill. Tyke Smith is not going to be a Buffalo Bill for those reasons.
Okay. Bullock, is Bullock up there?
And Bullock is way down here. Let's see.
Gotcha.
He's here somewhere, and I might have even taken him off my board.
Gotcha. Not a problem.
Tyler Newman would be a good one in terms of completion rate allowed and solo tackles per game. A lot of people have him as the number 1 safety, and he actually had a better interview than Kinchin. So pretty close though.
Is there any particular order for you when it comes to these positions that makes sense based on like their availability? Like,
yeah. So like if you want a successful draft, and I've done hundreds of simulations. The one thing I found out, and I wrote an article about it on Buffalo Fanbase, that if you look at the trio of needs, wide receiver, defensive tackle, safety, and then after round 2, throw in edge into that. You pick the best player available in that trio of positions. You'll have a wonderful draft.
So let me ask you, Dean, would you be upset if they take a defensive player first round?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, and that seems to be what this front office has done. A long time ago, I did an article for Cover One about the drafting patterns of the front office, and included everybody in the current front office and very often they drafted defensive tackle in round 1, and more than once, like I think 3 or 4 times, they've drafted defensive tackle first round, second round. So I'm not throwing anything out in terms of,
and not even that, they double dipped because they double dipped on on Rousseau and Boogie Basham.
Yeah, again. So it's like we have a history, this even recent history.
Right.
Dean has done it. McDermott at the Eagles did it, and I think Chris Jenkins was involved in that. And some of the other guys that have come to us from other teams have done it with their other team. So yeah, I wouldn't throw that. No.
I'm just preparing the fans because I'm telling you, fans are wide receiver. I'm with you. Like, I'm with you. We need a wide receiver. We need, some opposite of Diggs, but don't be surprised if they do go defense. I just want the fans to be prepared, and I guess for me to be prepared too. I'm speaking it out there.
I think we have to speak it out, and all of that will come true. So,
right.
Speak it into existence.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll speak it into existence. One of the things that you do third round or fourth round is throw edge into the mix, because you know how much McDermott and Bean love taking edges. It has to be a high pressures per game. He has to be from a P3 conference. He's got to be able to run stunts really well, because we do a lot of that, and slide inside when need be. So an edge that only plays edge isn't as useful.
All right.
And the other thing is, an edge from a 3-4 defense doesn't seem to bother them. And there are 3 players, at least in the top 10 of mine there, that play edge only.
So, okay, they were scouted the most? Like, so which ones were scouted the most?
Okay.
And
so
Jalen well in games. Okay.
So Jalen Harrell, Braden McGregor, Chop Robinson, Adisa Isaac.
Chop Robertson.
Yeah.
He actually, at the combine, they spoke with him, right? I want to say.
And that probably was this morning, because I didn't get some of those. I usually let Mookie Hawkins do.
Mookie's great at.
Let me see what I know. They spoke to Chop. I've seen it too. I follow Mookie when it comes to this stuff as well.
So what I can do is show you this, because I don't have that one down. I'm going to change that 12 to a 14, right? And then in my notes here, I'm just going to add combine visit. So that's what I do. And now he's the leader in the clubhouse there, 14. And there's a lot of good reasons to take him. He had some of the most career solo tackles. Him and Dallas Turner, who we're not getting. And Cedric Johnson, one of my players, I think good pick 155. Cedric Johnson of Ole Miss. He's got fast. He's got a four game thing, and he also sacks plus tackles for loss over 1 per game. And there's quite a few players who have done that. Daryl Johnson, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, and Boogie Bashan. Those 2 almost made it. And all the guys they brought in for 30 visits had that score above 1, and that included Brian Burns and some Jalen Ferguson and some Montez Sweat. So anyway, and Josh Allen, the other one, which would be confusing. So
be very confusing. I have a question about every draft is different in terms of its composition, etc. So this draft, Dean, I've heard is rich with wide receivers, a little lean on linebackers. What are you seeing from this draft in terms of where are the strengths in terms of position, and where are the weaknesses?
Yeah, you named 2 of the weaknesses. The other one I would throw at you besides that is tight end. I don't think it's a class where anybody is interested in taking a tight end. I looked at needs of every team, and nobody seems to have it as a top 3 need. Like there's one team, the Chargers, so they're going to take Brock Bowers, and then you won't see very many until day 3 from the tight end position. I don't think it's a terribly strong interior offensive line position, but there are some that are pretty good and are scouted early. Let me make it a little bigger for you. That these are guards. And what we would be looking for would be one that can play, in my opinion, left guard and can move to center
Yes.
Yeah.
to give Bates some competition at center
Yes.
once Mitch Morse hangs up his cleats. I think they'd have to be good pass blocking and run blocking.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna hit pass blocking over here. I hope that's on the screen.
Yes, it is.
So now the players at the top of the pass blocking class. I should have gotten rid of all the lower guys, but anyway, the Jackson Powers Johnson, who may be there around our first pick, would be an interesting pick. He had some visits, 2 visits. Cedric Van Pran, a really interesting case for second round pick for the Bills. He interchangeable at center and left guard. And I'm going to skip a couple of guys, but I'm not going to skip Mike Nowitzki is coming in as a preferred free agent or final pick. And that's because his hometown is in Victor. And that's where my sister lives. And so he's already 10 minutes away from St. John Fisher. So
he's right.
Oh wow. Well, there you go. He can walk.
It's like Dean.
The next name down there is Matt Lee. He'd be a nice 165 pick, which is, I believe the Bills have more than one. Yeah, 159. Probably your fifth rounder. A real good guess would be Matt Lee, and Matt Lee is center only, but he has one of the 10 best scores at pass blocking, and he's not a detriment in run blocking. One other name I'm going to tell you is Zach Frazier. We'd be a second round pick. If he gets to third round, watch for him. He's a 4-time high school wrestling champion.
Oh, wrestling.
And he seems to like the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Tanner Bortolini would be a good guess also for an interior guy that you can move around like that.
Okay.
So, but again, it's not a great class, but you can nitpick there, I think, or pick and choose and find the one you want. Offensive tackle is great, but the need is great. So if you want an offensive tackle, you're going to take one early this year.
I mean, if Mitch Morse does decide or they decide to move on from Mitch Morse, I mean, yes, you do have Ryan Bates in there as a center, but then you're going to need some backups for him. So you're going to have to go to get some offensive guys in the later rounds.
And maybe later rounds. And I think that's in play at round 5.
You have 2 picks there in round 5.
So take a guy like Delmar Glaze or Darius Henderson or Roger Rosengarten or Julian Pearl, somewhere down in there. They scouted Henderson every time they went to Michigan, and that's why he's got a 13 score down there.
Gotcha.
That's a good guess. I don't think we're taking a right tackle. I think we're really happy with the progress that Spencer Brown has made, but
Absolutely.
You never know. A swing tackle would be great. Somebody could play equally well left tackle, right tackle, and they scouted Matt Goncalves. He's got a score of 4 there, 6'6", 330, and runs a 5.23. That's not too bad. And he got a look against ACC competition, and so 2 years in a row he's made all ACC. So
okay.
And he's from New York. He's out on the island.
There you go.
The island.
All right. Well, let's have a little bit of fun. So you send this one in. Give us a kicker and a punter that was.
I was just going to ask that.
Oh, you okay?
That was my next
Most likely to be draft.
So, all right, I'm going to make it a little bigger. There. Okay, so if I had to pick, I think I would get an SEC player with lots and lots of points. And that's Will Reichard of Alabama. He could be a good last pick. Alabama's always frequently visited, so that's a good guess. I'll take Will Reichard as my kicker to compete with wide right there. And then I'm not going to take a long snapper, but there aren't any that you couldn't get in, preferred free agency. And then I think I would take Torrey Taylor, and I would probably use one of my 5th or 6th round picks, 5th round, I'd say, to take Torrey Taylor from Iowa. He's 6'4", 230.
Wow.
So he's going to be hard to stop if he runs.
The ball.
And
6'4", Jesus.
6'4", 230. And because actually he's not the biggest. Ryan Rico of BYU is the biggest. He's 6'5", 232. So both of them have averaged 47 yards per kick.
Wow.
And I guess those would be my best guess there.
Whew, okay.
Great question. It gives me a chance to show my stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely. I want everybody to understand and understand that, like, Dean starts. You're probably already started on your next draft, right? Yeah. Your next board. Like, you do this year round. So we had to have you on because it's just like you have these slides, but you take your time and you study. And Robyn was telling me about what you do and what you guys do together. And it's just amazing. It's amazing.
The stories, I do it for the stories because, when you find out a guy is a 4-time wrestling champion, you go, this is great. Or you find out that one is on his at the end of practice, he's a lineman and he challenges wide receivers to 40 races,
Right.
Any story like that, you just, that's what makes your day.
Exactly.
So,
okay, well, make my day and tell me who's better than Tavondre Sweat.
Oh my God.
So
she's not letting it go.
I told you I'd give you 3 reasons why he wouldn't be. One is the visits. Let me go back to that.
Yeah. Okay. So today at the combine, I just seen that he weighed in at the weight, 366.
366?
Yeah.
Okay. I had 362, so that's good. I'm changing that.
Yep. He finally weighed in today.
He wanted to keep it secret till the last minute.
Oh, that's So he's gonna need to run a faster 40 time, I think. But at 1 tech, it's not as important.
Right.
And because I could give you other guys that I think that the Bills might be interested in.
Give them to me.
Are better laterally.
Yes. That's my problem with Sweat. He's not something that will fit the Buffalo Bills scheme.
Yeah. Well, as far as if you look at Sweat in the second half of games, he tails off. And that's one of the things I was going to say. And the other one is, so how other teams scramble. I'm mentioning Patrick Mahomes. He's not good at long pursuit. The play better take less than 3 seconds, or he's not.
He's done.
He's done, and arm length probably will be a concern. We'll find out shortly whether that's. And then the one scouted game. I think the 5 that I would say are in the running. You mentioned Mason Smith.
Love him.
I think we re-sign DaQuan Jones.
I do too.
There's a better, that's a better bet. And then take your chances on a Logan Lee or something like that with a pick near the end of the draft for the 1 tech.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Logan Lee.
I'd say the guys the 5 that I would say had the most games scouted. I would have to say Chris Jenkins is my number 1 bet.
Okay.
And my number 2 bet is Zerjan Newton, but I don't think we're going up to get him. Michael Hall, 4 games from OSU. Justin Egboigbe.
Yeah.
and Braden Fisk, who just got a formal visit at the combine. So
okay, cool.
All of those, he might be a 2nd round pick if they go wide receiver in the 1st round. It's all falling into place,
Okay.
It's going to
Well,
be interesting because whenever the draft happens, it's amazing to me how many players get pushed into the second round. Really
Yes.
good players because there's a
like
run on
Osiris
some
Torrance.
position. Yes, absolutely.
That's
So that's
it'll
what I'm
happen to us
counting on.
again. Yeah. And if we're prepared, Bean will have us prepared. He'll already have a wide receiver in
mind,
from free agency. He'll have
Mhm.
Daquan Jones, and he'll have either Duggar,
right, or Chen,
or Chin, one of the two. And if he doesn't, the quest for a safety goes way up. I'm not concerned about Bean finding a defensive back seven.
right.
He hits so many times.
And then Sean McDermott, they developed them very, very, very well.
Yes.
So just the raw material. Look for the raw material. Take them from a P3 conference, and so those would be the things that I would be looking for.
Well, we're going to put you on the spot. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
go
just thinking when you said that about Kyer Elam and wondering, Dean, what were your thoughts about what happened to him?
Yeah, we knew going in that he was going to be much better on man than he was on zone, whereas we knew the opposite with guys like Dane Jackson.
Right.
So as a matter of fact, Dane Jackson had a better solos per game than 3, 6, 9. There are only 9 players that have better ones in the current draft. And some of them are early picks, like DeJean and Terry and Arnold. So if I had to guess on this, I would have to say that you're gonna. I'm sort of getting away from what you asked, because you don't see Kyer Elam on this list, and I neglected to do it. The first thing I'm going to do after this is have lunch. But the second thing I'm going to do is going to go find the number of solos per game that Kyer Elam had in all of his college, and divide it by the number of games.
Right.
So see where he falls on this. That's we haven't talked about running back.
Oh,
you don't think we're taking a running back, evidently.
No,
I don't see
it. I want somebody big.
Yeah.
So it's funny you should say that. I want you to know that the Bills are looking for somebody big also. So I'm going to hide 2022 because we don't care about old information. Look at these guys at the top. These are the 10 heaviest guys right here. And if the 3 that got lots and lots of looks, Trey Benson, second round. Okay. Ryan Williams, who's dumb as a rock. He's even dumber than Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Audric Estime, third round pick. And remember, I didn't mention a third round pick. I think Estime is a really good guess. Braylon Allen would also be a guess. And it'll come down to their pass block success. And Trey Benson has a lot better pass blocker. And Kendall Milton, one of your last picks can be Kendall Milton in round 6. Take him as your thunder back to complement James Cook, and he's actually a very good pass blocker.
Okay, I like it. I like it. So we're gonna have some fun. I have a question. So you are the GM today.
Awesome.
And you have to pick the 28th pick. Do you stay with the pick or do you move?
I'm going to stay with the pick if Keon Coleman or Brian Thomas fall, and I would run to the podium for Brian Thomas, and run to the podium for Keon Coleman.
Okay.
I have a tough time with Troy Franklin because it's like he doesn't have the height, he doesn't have the weight. He may surprise me today with a 40 time. That's
I think they are. This the weekend. I think running backs on Saturday.
I think you're right. But if it's either Coleman or Thomas, that's my pick. Otherwise, I'm taking my defensive line guy with my first pick. And that would, as you can see, I'm higher on Leonard Taylor than most. But he's one of the only guys who's averaged more than one sack tackle for loss per game in his career, and he's one of the 4 guys that has the highest pass rush pressure percentage in the draft. So that if I'm doing that, and if I took the wide receiver in round 1. Then I'd probably take Mason Smith in round 2, and I kind of flip them, and then either Tyler Davis or Mekhi Wingo as a defensive tackle in round 3, or the running back that I like, Trey Benson or Audric Estime, depending on what round I have to pick a running back.
Okay. Well, we thank you, Dean, for coming on. We really do. We definitely appreciate this. Every year you come on and help us out, because I'm telling you, I have this. I have this. I have a lot here. So, and when we thought about this, I was like, yes, because I'm looking at this and it's just like, what is this? And then you also send me stuff over, and I was just going through it. I was like, okay, I need him on the show. I don't know. So I thank Robyn for, shooting out that message to you for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Robyn's going to get us out of here unless she got some other stuff to say.
I just really want to say thank you to Dean for more than even just today. The work that you do for the fan base blog is second to none. And I couldn't love you more if you were my brother. And you know that. I'm going to get all teary, but I'm hoping, is it possible? I'll get with you. We would love to have you on again before the draft.
Yes.
Right.
If that's okay.
Yes.
And I'll nail down a date with you, but I'll have a lot more questions by then. This has been just so incredibly helpful. It's the best way to start before the combine to get Dean on the show.
Yes.
You know who to watch. There's just so many to watch. And, it's like this could be totally consuming. And I guess for me it is. But, there's still hope out there for some of you. You don't have to spend all of your time doing this. Make sure you have other hobbies.
Right.
Right. Raise turkeys.
Right. I'm going to go feed the turkeys. They're yelling at me now. Anyway, I can't thank you enough. T, you're just the bomb, as always. And we will be back. I guess it'll be March
16th.
14th?
Oh, no, you gonna have me looking.
You mean when the draft is?
No, we do every other week now. So we will be back March. Yeah, 14th.
March
I
14th.
will be away. The 14th through the 28th, I think it is.
Okay.
So maybe even into April we can do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
For
I'll get
sure.
with you on the specifics, but
Super.
thank you.
Well, I
Thank
have
you
to I have to do another pick 6 before I head out for a little vacation time. So
good.
Go Bills.
Yes.
Go Bills is right.
So thank you guys again for listening to me and Robyn. This is Tea Time with Robyn. Again, thank you, Dean, for stopping by. And as always,
thank you.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Until next time, Mafia, this has been Tea Time with T and Robyn.
The Bills make me wanna